Hi, my name is Angela Duffy, and I work as a Senior Disability Specialist for the Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about social narratives. I'm going to cover the importance of social narratives in this video, and my next video will teach you how to write a social narrative. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be referring to them as social narratives. Now, y'all might be wondering, what is a social narrative? A social narrative is a short story using words and or pictures to better explain a social situation, a new event in the child's life, maybe a new person, or a new place. Let's talk about why we might use a social narrative. Well, individuals with autism struggle a lot in social situations. They might have difficulty understanding social rules and social cues, and they also have difficulty handling different changes. And all of this can lead to anxiety, worry, and frustration. With social narratives, we are able to present this information visually. An individual with autism learns best when the information is presented visually. And so by learning this ahead of time, they're able to prepare for any changes. Let's talk about when we might use a social narrative. A social narrative can be used at home, at school, or in the community. We can also write a social narrative when there is a new person coming into the child's life. So at home, if mom is going to be having a new baby, let's talk about what life is going to be like when the new baby comes. Maybe the child's going to be having a new teacher. We can write a social narrative about that as well. Right now, we're going through a huge change. Our children have gone from going to school at school to getting their schoolwork done at home. This is the perfect time to be writing a social narrative to better explain to your child what is going on. We also need to make sure to write a social narrative when the schools do reopen and our children go back to school, because again, that's going to be a huge change in the child's life. We can also write social narratives for various social situations. So right now, I would write a social narrative about classroom etiquette when we're on Zoom. To not blurt out, there is a feature on Zoom where you can raise your hand. We can also talk about maybe how long the Zoom calls are going to be. We can talk about, what's appropriate to say when you're in your Zoom classroom. We can talk about various things like that. I wrote a really short social narrative about learning from home, and I just used a piece of paper and a pen, and I wrote out my sentences and drew some pictures. This works really well for some children. If you do have a color printer and a laminator, you can make a social narrative like this. I wrote this one on cutting my toenails. My daughter was having a lot of trouble with allowing us to touch her toes and cut them. So I wrote a little social narrative about that. Let me read that to you right now so you have an example of what a social narrative is. When my toenails grow too long, mommy or daddy needs to cut them. If I don't cut them, they might grow too long and sharp. That might hurt. While I'm getting my toenails cut, I can watch a video on the phone or watch a show on TV. I can get myself ready by taking a deep breath and relaxing. Everybody has to get their toenails cut. It doesn't hurt, and I feel much happier when it's done. So this is just one short example of what a social narrative can look like. You can write social narratives for going to the dentist or going to the doctor if that's something that causes your child a lot of anxiety. I wrote a social narrative about my daughter when she started preschool for the first time. She had never been in school before, so I wanted to write a social narrative to talk to her about her new teachers, the kids in her classroom, what the classroom was going to look like, what her day was going to look like, what she could do if she had any sort of frustration or maybe feelings of anxiety while she was there, some strategies that she could use. Next, I want to talk about how we can use the social narrative. After we've written our social narrative, we need to introduce it to our child. It's very important that you first read it to your child when they are calm and ready for learning. We all know that when we are calm and relaxed, that we learn best. When you're reading it to your child, make sure that you're reviewing it positively. So, read it in an exciting voice. You need to be in a comfortable space, whether that be, sitting at a table, or maybe you're sitting on the couch and you're reading it with your child.
Cat's preschool book. Okay, no down, Tiger. I will be going to preschool at Garfield School. They will take me to preschool after lunch.
I know that this is a very challenging time for many of us, and that's why I wanted to make this video about social narratives. I think that if we can provide information to our children in a fun, visual way, that this will really help decrease a lot of the anxiety and worry that our children are having right now. Thank you for watching this video about social narratives. If you would like more information, like example social narratives, please check out our website below. You can find information on autism, tip sheets, different activities, and other videos on our website. Feel free to reach out to me if you need help writing a social narrative. My email address is aduffy@uic.edu. And my name is Angela Duffy for the Resource Center for Autism and Developmental Delays. Thanks again for watching.